Varg Vikernes continued to release Burzum albums post-jail. Let's find out how they got these guitar tones. Hey guys, I'm Aaron. I want to focus on the first two albums post-jail. Let's hear what I came up with in a full mix for the album Bellis. I personally think the guitar tone on this album is scary. It is extremely scary. It's moving and it just haunts the hell out of me. It pays to note that Pitten, again, was utilised by Varg to create this Burzum album. So it has been noted that the quality of gear used on this album was of extremely high value. It actually shows. The production is one of the highest, clearest mixes I've heard out of a Burzum record, apart from Fallen, which we'll get into in a second. But you can hear that there were quality amps, quality mics, all of the highest caliber. Let's hear the guitars of Bellis by Burzum on their own so you can hear what's going on. Varg states he used a PV guitar, a PV 6505, and a PV cab to get these sounds. There's actually a picture, a studio photo, to back up these claims. So when dialing in the amp, you're going to hear a healthy amount of gain. I would probably set the gain around 1 o'clock. Think of a wall mount clock, like an analog, with the hands, etc. So go by the time there. That's how we'll do it. I'd treble around 2, mids around 2 PM, that is. You want low end. You're going to hear low end in the guitar. It's not like this on any other Burzum album, but on this one, it is. I think it adds to the theme, the sound. It sets it apart from the rest. That's why I believe it gives it that scary feeling. When it comes to the cab, you want to use two microphones. Use two SM57s. I would have one placed directly, or what I did was I had one mic placed directly on the cone. The center of the cone about an inch away from the speaker. For the second mic, which you want on a separate speaker if possible, if you can't, you can put it on the same. Just watch out for phasing issues. We might tap on that in another video. But you want the second amp off axis, which means not dead on, at a bit of an angle. And you also want that mic placed not too far back, maybe a couple of inches off the cone, to create some sort of bright frequencies. When recording guitar cabs, it pays to remember a slight movement will make drastic, like big change. So keep in mind, if you catch a spot that you like, don't move it. So one thing I forgot to add is the guitars were dual tracked. That means there's 2 rhythm guitars going on. Whether you use the same guitar or not, it's really up to you, but it does thicken up the sound. Let's move on to the full mix for Fallen now. You're going to find that the tone is dramatically different, like drastically I should say, not dramatically. but it is a hell of a lot different, and the same gear was used. So let's have a listen to what we came up with, and we'll dissect that. Okay, so Fallen by Burzum, as you just heard, sounds a hell of a lot different. To start off with, the guitars, I personally believe the guitar riffs in general are more intricate, and in saying that, I believe, it pays to note, Pitten again was utilised by Varg to produce the album. Now I believe they both evolved again. Like I just said, the guitar riffs were more intricate. So when you dial in your amp, you're going to want to dial back the gain a little bit. The gain on albums are never quite as high as you'd imagine. Like if you're playing in your bedroom, you're going to obviously turn up a hell of a lot more than what you hear on an album. This is usually at a producer's discretion, because when there's too much gain on tap, things can get messy exceptionally fast. So when you dial in your amp for this, you're going to want the gain, I would duck it like I did just below noon. There's no boost pedals or anything involved in this tone, so it's just going to be straight amp. The amp was a 6505 again. And this time dial the bass back. There's not a lot of bass going in the tone. I would put it around 4, so that's around between 10 and 11 AM on a clock. When dialing in, there is mids there. I would crank the mids up to about 3 PM. I wouldn't push the highs, like the treble, too much, because you start to get piercing frequencies shooting through. I'd keep that around 1, 2 o'clock, same as the last tone. When miking the cab, for this I used a 1x12. He obviously used a 4x12. Still much the same, but I did use 2 microphones. I used the SM57, again, straight on the cone, though it was probably about 1 to 2 inches back. I didn't want that direct in your face tone. This Fallen by Burzum, the album, it's got like a grinding sort of tone, very unforgiving, very thin compared to Bellis. I used the 57 back about 2 inches, and I used a 421 at a distance. I did this to just create a bit of warmth. Even though the sound isn't particularly warm, I blended the two to taste, which you will hear. I really enjoy the guitar tones on these 2 albums, Post Jail by Burzum. I believe it shows a lot of maturity on both Varg Vikernes' part as well as Pitten. Shows how they evolved as musicians. It really is a work of art, and they really did create masterpieces along the way.